Hey, 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 welcome to another episode of Geekly Reveal. It's that show from your homies at Character Reveal that tells you about geeky news on a weekly basis. Once again, it is your host, it's me, Dom, aka Brother Dom, all over the internet. And once again, I am joined by the Grammy, Emmy, Tony, and Oscar nominated co-host. Would you like to tell the people who you are?
I am EGOT nominated co-host, Stephanie, aka Captain Steph, on Twitter, The Snooker on Tumblr, and various other things elsewhere on the internet. How are you doing today, Dom?
Steph, I've been better.
Yeah, it's
been a rough week for me. Listeners, it's been a rough week going through some stuff. Don't want to share too much, just since it's, kind of weird. But, going through some jazz. That's why last week's episode is late, so you'll probably be getting these closer together than normally. My apologies. But other than that, I'm faring pretty well. Got the homies around. Saw some Evo Japan today. Have the Grammy stream on. All things considered, I'm not too bad, actually. So, how about you, Steph? How are you feeling?
I'm pretty good. I had a fun night with friends last night, which we will get into later.
That's true.
And I went to the gym for the first time in the new year, so I'm feeling pretty good about myself.
Oh, not bad, not bad. Was it very crowded from, the resolution people, or...?
No, I think it's late enough in January that people have given up on things if they are.
That's too bad, but I do know that's a thing for people that go to the gym a lot, is that gyms get crowded around the new year, and people don't support, or we realize how much time we didn't have. During the holidays, I have tons of time. No, you don't have tons of time. You just thought you did. You didn't have to go to work or school. But okay, that's good. Do you just basically run? Do you do any weights or anything?
Usually I just run. Now, I was trying to finish Couch 5K before the end of the year, so I was only running when I went to the gym before this, but now that that has been completed, I'm going to try to, swap back and forth, running versus, doing the weights so that, I could do my arms, maybe. My arms could have some muscles in them.
That's fair. I always like doing the leg stuff. I'm more of a leg workout. I hate doing arms because I'm weak, and, it just feels bad to do it. Then I can't lift my arms the next day. But yeah, I also had that good night with friends last night. It was a fun time talking with people over the Discord.
Yeah. So do we want to talk about that first?
Yeah, we have a few different things. We can just since that's the oldest thing, let's get into that. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So we are changed people. We have committed a sin before God and man. And we watched a screener of the Cats movie last night.
And that was, oof. So
holy shit.
So you know somebody that works in official capacity, so that's how they were able to come across this, I assume.
Yeah.
So we were able to watch this, and you know what? I feel like a crime was committed. Because, I've heard about the musical Cats. I know that people say it doesn't have a plot, and there's a lot going on, but I'd like to use some nonsense literature term to say it has a plot, but it doesn't have an arc. Nothing links the stuff together. And it was just a very uncomfortable experience to watching it with people.
This movie is so horny.
It really was. That's kind of, it threw me off, because you hear about these things, you're like, people are over exaggerating, it's not that weird, it's not going to be that horny, it's not going to be this weird and goofy. And then you watch, holy hell, it really is. Lots of shoulder movement, lots of
weird nuzzling, tails shaking,
lots of cat crotch. Lots of human crotches on cats.
Yeah,
that was awkward. It was a very awkward movie, and despite hearing lots of analysis for it and watching videos, I was not prepared for it. I mean, I had some whiskey and tea and water, and still, it was like, what the hell is going on? This is weird.
Yeah, I think I felt bad for our one friend watching who only had Gatorade, because I was also under the influence, and I don't think I could have handled it sober.
No, it was wild, but it was fun. It was definitely entertaining, and I could see how without the weird CGI and a little bit more emphasis on the choreography and not the background gross horniness of it. I could see why people would have wanted to see something like this, or why people enjoy it on Broadway. I think right towards the middle, when they're just dancing and there's just music, it's not really singing, I'm like, oh, this is just spectacle. This is fine. This isn't bad. And then it's like, oh, you were getting comfortable. Time to go back to that other stuff. And it just is weird.
Like, my beef is kind of, like, a thing. So, like, coming back to, like, maybe it's in, like, that thing that everyone has been saying, like, Cats was in the right medium before this. Like, we didn't need a new, like, version of this in a movie format. But, part of that to me is that, like, live dancing is very impressive to watch because they have one chance to do it.
Yeah.
Films dancing is less impressive to watch because you know that they have as many takes as they need to do it.
Right.
And then dancing in Cats is the next tier up of less impressive because it's very clear that they're adding all sorts of, like, CGI visual effects. Like, oh, like, someone tap dancing really fast is very impressive in real life. But when you're watching the movie and the tap dancing goes from, like, just impressively fast to, like, you clearly pressed fast forward on his feet, it's no longer impressive.
Yeah. And, like, the way to beat this would be something very gauche, but, like, look how much money we were able to sink into this. Like, on an impressive amount, but that wouldn't have really been impressive because, for instance, like, we know Disney has a ton of movie, or a ton of money, so if they just want to, like, throw it at the screen, like, okay, that's not really impressive anymore, like, we've seen this before.
Yeah.
I think it would have benefited from some nice long single takes, but then you wouldn't be able to see the scale of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just kind of like, why? There was a way to do it, I think, but they didn't figure out what it was.
Yeah. Like, it makes me think of the difference between, like, the effects in The Lord of the Rings and the effects in The Hobbit.
Okay.
Because in Lord of the Rings, they were very sparing with the CGI effects, and most of their, like, really impressive shots were practical effects. Like, it wasn't, like, CGI, like, copy-pasting, like, an extra, like, 10,000 orcs into a picture. There were 10,000 New Zealanders in orc makeup.
Yeah, that's, like, incredibly impressive.
And so it looks really cool, and it saves, and, like, this was, like, early 2000s, like, so they were saving the CGI for the things where they could use it to best effect.
Yeah, like, the CGI would have been more expensive to do.
Yeah, so, like pouring it into making sure Gollum looked cool or something, you know, like, so that it doesn't, like, all of the focus is on that as opposed to animating everything in this movie.
Yeah. So I think they still saved in this one because it was probably cheaper to do CGI than to, like, have all those, like, expensive actors in makeup for that long, like, because that probably would have been, like, some salary for them or something. Mm-hmm. Like, I still feel like they took the cheaper option, but it was just counterintuitive which the cheaper option was. I'm thinking.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, then in the Hobbit movies, they did almost all of the effects with CGI, and it seemed like very few of them were practical, and it just seemed so fakey and, like, corny looking.
Yeah.
And
people can tell when something looks cheap.
Yeah, and that's where we are here.
Speaking of looking cheap, like, there were just some sets in the Cats that looked like PS1 graphics, like. Yeah. Like, I think, like, when they went to the railway or whatever, I'm like, this looks...
Yeah, when they were up on the railroad bridge, it was bad.
Like, that looked real bad, and I'm like, this cost too much money to look this bad. So, I mean, I think there was a way to make this work, and they just didn't figure out what it was going to be, and it's too bad, but, you know, I enjoyed watching it with friends. Speaking of movies like that, I'm very excited for the Sonic movie to come out. Yeah. Have you seen any of the content out around that right now?
Is there new content? Is there new hot takes and etc.?
Not new hot takes, but like Wiz Khalifa did a song, like you know how they're doing like soundtrack songs, like how him and some people did one for the Ninja Turtles. I was like, it was Wiz Khalifa, I think Ty Dolla $ign, and like two other people did like raps for it, like Lil Uzi Vert, and I can't, I don't like his rapping. I'm getting old. I couldn't understand what he said. I like him, but I didn't understand what the hell he was saying, and I was like, I could go back, but not for a Sonic movie. But people are like, yo, they didn't cheap out on this. Like, normally when people do a soundtrack song, the video is just crap from the movie. but this had new footage from the movie we haven't seen yet, and like new sprite work. Like they had sprites of all the guys that were singing in the song, and it's like,
awesome.
yo, this wasn't garbage. Like, why is this not garbage? Like, what are you guys doing? And then like some well, they couldn't do a red carpet, so they did a blue carpet event.
Of course.
With the various the actors in it, and some of the people didn't cosplay, but like kind of cosplayed. Like the one woman was wearing red high heels and like a beige shirt with blue overalls. I'm like, oh, that's kind of Sonic. And Jim Carrey wore like a red crushed velvet shirt or a jacket for his character. So, you know,
nice.
And then some other guy just kind of Sonic, like, you know, if you were doing like a casual cosplay at an event, like people wouldn't get it, but if you told them that's what you were doing, they'd be, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. And they had a big Sonic mascot that like looked all right, and I don't think this movie's going to be as bad as it's supposed to be, and that's making me uncomfortable.
Not used to quality Sonic materials.
But I am looking forward to it. Some people are saying, why didn't Crush 40 do the music? Because they do like music for the games, and like, guys, it's because this is something that's kind of different in a way. Like it's a different thing. But the thing that I am upset about, they did a tie-in. Did you see the food tie-in they did?
Yeah.
I forget who was in. It was like with In and Out or something, or like they're doing a.
It was. Yeah, it was. It's like it's something that is like Sonic but not Sonic.
Yeah, so people are like, two things, Sega. You have a restaurant called Sonic, and they serve chili dogs. Anybody who's going to be interested in the Sonic movie is going to be thinking of Sonic from that time period when he really loved chili dogs. And this tie-ins with tacos. People are like, dog, what is this? This is such a miscalculation. If you had a choice. I mean, so I'm excited about it, but not to be too off target, but we did comment that the CGI from, well, especially Detective Pikachu, but even from like the Sonic movie looks better than what Cats look like.
Yeah, honestly, the original Sonic movie, like, animation looked better than what Cats looked like.
I would agree with that. It was, because it was a bad idea, it was still well done.
Yeah, just like human teeth, like,
so bad.
as opposed to human faces and hands. Also, like, because it was a screener, it was the pre-patch.
So you can see, like, lots of stuff that wasn't supposed to be there.
Like, yeah, like people's human hands.
And, like, I couldn't tell, because the way that some of the cats wore clothes, sometimes people would have sneakers, and, like, is this cat supposed to have sneakers? Or is this a glitch? Because I could see...
Yeah, like,
because James Corden cat wore spats. They keep making jokes about it. So I'm like, okay, so he's wearing shoes. But then some guys have sneakers. I'm like, are they supposed to have sneakers? Or... So it was a bunch, but but there's good stuff in the world. You want to talk about some of that stuff?
Yeah. Let's refocus to something more wholesome. We're trying to get a really speedy episode out for y'all today, so we're trying to keep it
relatively short,
tight.
Yeah. So tell me about some good boys.
Oh yeah, so these good boys. So there was a press release recently that they're NBC's new streaming service, which is going to be called Peacock TV.
Of course.
One of the many things they picked up is an animated retelling of Adventure Zone Balance Arc. So that's literally it. That's all we know. But like, I've already been having like some interesting discussions about like, is it going to be like, are they going to use the like graphic novel animation style as like the character designs? Like, are they going to get other voice actors involved, like to play the NPCs, so that like Griffin isn't voicing 75% of the characters? Because like presumably they're going to have the boys do their characters, but like maybe just like Griffin as the DM in the way that he is the DM in the graphic novels, kind of like interceding occasionally, and then whatchamacall, like actually casting other people to play like Lucretia or like, I don't know, Garfield the Deals Warlock, etc. And I feel like we talked about previously the Critical Role animated show and like my spicy feelings about how Critical Role doesn't have it, like, it's one thing for the cast to be all white people because they're just people who know each other who are monetizing their hobby.
Yeah, that's already like kind of like, okay, but then
but then like to do an animated version where like not only are none of your characters being interpreted as people of color, but also there doesn't seem to be anyone of color involved in the like behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah,
and I feel like
it's kind of not a great look.
Yeah, so like I feel like this is a thing where that the McElroys tend to be better about.
Yeah,
and so I expect.
Yeah, which if like oddly enough, not to make excuses for anybody, but like if anybody had a reason to be like relatively insular, I think it'd be the people who are like, oh, it's literally just our family. So like,
yeah.
Again, not saying that they shouldn't try. Obviously, they should try. But if anybody had a reason, it'd be the people that are like, this is just our my brother, and me, and my dad. Like,
yeah.
One could be forgiven for that. Not when you're this big, but I would get it. But like you said, they seem to be better at this stuff, so like props to them for saying.
So I presume like gonna get like whatchamacall, like maybe like a black woman to play Lucretia, since that's how she's drawn in the comics, and like that kind of stuff would be.
And nice. Again, there was no reason for her to be like that in the comics. They just decided to, right? Like I assume it was just like one of the boys' character.
Yeah, because she's an NPC, so
okay.
She's just someone Griffin made up. But there are like lots of like wonderful plant lesbians and like a non-binary like a sheriff and all sorts of good stuff.
See, it's really easy to do good things for people. It's not hard to be inclusive. Once it's easy stuff.
Yeah, because like one of the things that like always like I'm always thinking about is like when I listen to the Mabim Bam live shows, like they always say like they're totally open to like people telling them their pronouns when they come up to the mic, and I'm always like thinking in the back of my head like they're going to be talking directly to you. I can't see I don't know that there's going to be a reason for you to need to give them your pronouns in this instance, but if they're riffing off it or something on stage, they always just say just like, hi Sarah, thank you for telling me your pronouns, kind of thing. Like,
yeah, I can see how it could be an issue, because like if you're riffing, come on, Griffin,
hit me with your pronouns,
well, I mean, like once you start talking about like, oh, this guy said so and so, like, well, I'm not a guy, like, I feel like that's a situation where like,
yeah, exactly. I figure that's why the whatchamacall.
Yeah, like that feels like a good reason to like have someone's pronouns, so like once the person is not directly involved in what's going on, you don't misgender them through inaction or whatever you would call it.
Yeah, by accident.
Yeah, because that's especially
or by assumption.
Yeah, because that's the whole point of it, is that you're not doing that, and it'd be really crappy to do it, especially when you purposely set out not to. So, well, that's good. I'm glad that there are people out there that are like, hey, let's include people for no cost.
Yeah. For zero cost. Alrighty, so do you want to tell me about your cool thing?
My thing's
if it's cool or not?
It's probably less cool. It's interesting to me. There's a lot going on. So the Overwatch League is doing stuff again. It's coming out at the same time as the Sonic movie that weekend.
Ooh, happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, I know. I'm the happiest man in the world. Not really. Other stuff, but But some news I didn't mention before. Maybe I did, but they released the new kits, like the new jerseys, whatever you want to call it. It's basically streetwear.
Yeah, those look nice.
Yeah, they look super sick. I called it because I'm like, hey, like those alternate jerseys they sold last year for $100 are like all unilaterally $30, and I got one before. Like I said, some stuff's going on, but I got one in the mail, and it's a player who doesn't even play for Philly anymore, but I got his alternate jersey because I like him as a player. But yeah, these new jerseys look pretty cool. They're like streetwear, but more moves going on. Blizzard signed a deal with YouTube. All of the Overwatch League and pretty much all of Blizzard Activision esports will be on YouTube now instead of Twitch. They did a exclusivity
It's
deal.
exclusively, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so it might still be like on Disney or something, I'm not sure, but all of their esports will be on YouTube, and it probably means like some other. I was watching the guy Sideshow, he's one of the commentators, he was talking about how like why would they do this? It's more probably about like the cloud services, like going from the AWS clouds to the Google stuff. So there's probably a lot more involved with this just than what streaming service do we want to be on, because that's how companies are. But it'll be interesting because we all know that Twitch has a culture and YouTube has a culture, and esports aren't like on YouTube. That's not where you would go to see esports. So what's going to happen with all this?
Yeah.
But it's also where the Hearthstone competitive will be, and also where the Call of Duty League is going to be. I don't know if you knew about this, but there is now
Call of Duty League is just such a like we get it, you're straight. Like
I think just Blizzard wants to just keep calling all their stuff a league.
Is Call of Duty Blizzard?
It's Activision Blizzard. Activision owns Call of Duty. Yeah, and when they did their big merger thing, it's now like available on the Blizzard launcher. So for like all intents and purposes, it's a Blizzard title. Like I think Bobby Kotick was an Activision guy, and like since they like own Blizzard or whatever, it's confusing. But yeah, Call of Duty League started this past weekend, and apparently
how's that going?
Apparently it wasn't the shit show that everyone thought it was going to be. Like nobody had faith in it. But it was pretty well. Like they travel around the world. Like each week or competition's hosted by a different team, kind of like how Overwatch League did the homestands, but like every week is going to be somewhere else. And you know, crowds came for certain teams that they already knew about, even though like they're geolocated, but they all come from organizations. But apparently it went pretty well. People liked it. It was fun. They said the players tend to have a little bit more personality because they're like allowed to. Because if there's anything I know, and this is probably some sort of a stereotype, or maybe it's not, but I know some of the Korean players just had like crazy swag when they came out. They're like, yo, y'all can't touch me. And they're like, yo, these guys talk trash. I love it. But I think Blizzard kind of had some stuff like, you know, they're trying to make it marketable, so they don't want people just coming out like being terrible. But apparently everyone enjoyed it. Like they wanted to watch it. I mean, I have no interest in watching the Call of Duty League, but apparently it went pretty well. So, you know, that's nice.
Good, I'm glad
someone's
out here enjoying themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. But yeah, it's a thing. So there's a lot to be said from that. And, you know, like I said, it's coming back in February. They're making changes to the game. Apparently some big system's supposed to be revealed this week. Yeah, like some people thought it was going to be hero bands because this one streamer was like, oh yeah guys, I have a feeling they're going to change something, and like turned to his other camera and like winked, and people were like, oh, he must know something, this is a big leak. And like all of Overwatch Twitter was like blowing up, and he's like, guys, I don't actually know anything, I was like just talking crap. Like, you think if it was hero bands I wouldn't say, like, come on. Like, and then the developers addressed it like, no, hero bands aren't coming to the game. Like, we don't know what, like, just because somebody said this doesn't mean it's true. He told you it wasn't true. So, you know, apparently something's supposed to come out to help balance the game. So we're all like, please, Blizzard, this game's getting a little bit stale in some ways that it doesn't have to be. So, you know, change on the horizon. Right. I think
change is coming.
Yeah, I think that's everything going on. Plus, there are lunar events going on right now, which, you know, it's fun. Yeah. So.
Yeah. The only noteworthy thing at the Grammys are the outfits of Billy Porter and Lil Nas X.
Yeah, Lil Nas is wearing some bright pink. I can't I can't find the real stream, but like whatever. I thought I was supposed to be on the Grammys website. I got lied to. But yeah, I like the queer fashion. Sway Lee from the Migos. I'm getting old. This is terrible. I should know this. He's not from the Migos. He's from Ray Shrimmer. That's what it is. Which I'm too old to know that, but whatever. He was wearing something I would consider like relatively like flamboyant or something. I don't know, but it's all good. The fashion's good. Billie Eilish showed up wearing some crazy stuff too, so that's good. Yeah, everyone's looking good. Did we have anything else to talk about actually?
No, I think that's it.
I think we Overwatch, so the McElroys, Cats. It's kind of a short episode. I don't know, y'all. It's been a hell of a week, and not a lot really happened from what I could see. Some good upsets in the damn Evo, but you know, times are tough. We're getting by, but you know, we did it. There's another episode. More stuff coming down the pipeline. We're gonna keep giving y'all content. In the meantime, though, Steph, you wanna grace these people with some social media biz?
Yeah, so if you guys want to find us on the internet, you can find this show on Twitter at character REV, no punctuation or spaces or any of that. You can find us on Facebook under Character Reveal. You can find us on Instagram under Character Reveal and see some pictures of our cosplays from the week we were at OhioCon.
Oh yeah, lots of good stuff.
Yeah. You can, let's see, you can find me on the internet at Captain Steph, on Twitter, at The Snowqueer, on Tumblr, at HellaSteph on Instagram. You can find Dom everywhere he wants to be found on the internet at Brother Dom, because he's got that branding
So
that
sweet.
I lack. So,
I think that's it. Like we gave him, like you can find us iTunes, podcast, catchers, just Stitcher. That's it.
Follow us, like, rate, and review.
It all helps. Calls to action. That's real important. If I've learned anything off the internet,
Yeah.
maybe one day we get that Skillshare or Raid Shadow Legends sponsorship. But for now, yeah, it's just another episode. Listeners, thanks so much for rocking with us. We should have another one for y'all next week. Trying to keep the momentum up. And until next time, see you later.
Bye.